Okay, so study design introduction. Just going to start getting you kind of interested, starting to think about some aspects of study design and why are we doing this? Okay, so one of the things that I want to get across to you all over the next 10 to 12 weeks is how research method and statistics should be viewed as kind of one and the same thing, right? When you're designing your study, you should be bearing in mind or know what statistical model or technique that you'll be using to analyze the data that you acquire from your study, okay? So research methods and statistics are not, in my view at least, not these separate entities. They are one and the same thing, right? Again, to design a study, you should know how you're going to analyze your study at that point. And that's what we'll be doing in our project groups. So in psychological research, oh my gosh, my head's in the way again, isn't it? In psychological research, the first step to answering any question is designing the study, right? Study design shapes how you will collect your data, how you will analyze your results, and draw conclusions about the research question. We are looking for robust methodologies, right, that answer meaningful research questions. Move out of the way. Choosing the right design allows you to effectively explore the relationships between variables or the differences between groups. Now, this idea of choosing the right design is what we're going to train you on this module, right? I am not just going to train you on purely like how to run an ANOVA or how to run a regression, okay? On this module, I'm going to be training you how to choose the right design and then apply the correct statistical test. Okay, so this is what we'll be training you in the next few weeks. This idea of choosing, right? And I think that's critical because when you come to third year, that's what you'll be doing, right? You'll be choosing a research question, but then you'll also be collaborating with your supervisor to choose an appropriate design for your study. So a well-planned study, my chair is really in the way, isn't it? A well-planned study design ensures that you can accurately answer your research question. The type of design that you choose, whether it be experimental or correlational, we'll get onto that in a bit, determines how you test your variables, okay? A good study design will help you decide whether to use a test of difference, like ANOVA, or a test of a relationship, like regression. Every study design has a few key components that guide the research process. So first of all, this is what we're doing in the first few weeks, right? We're forming a research question, the starting point for any study. Then we'll move on to kind of choosing variables, selecting independent and dependent variables to investigate, right? So variables are phenomena of interest. Selecting the design type, so deciding between an experimental or correlational approach, so looking for difference versus looking for relationships between variables. And data collection itself, so determining how the data will be gathered. Will you be using a survey? Will you be using experimental software? Okay, and again, we will be training you on those in this module. Next week, in fact, Chris Stiff will be giving content on how to use Qualtrics in a much more kind of detailed and an efficient manner. So by carefully selecting these elements, you ensure that your study can answer the research question effectively, and that's the key, right? So, a little mini task for you, if you have time or the inclination, is now, we've done a little bit of this in the session, so you can kind of rehash a little bit of this, is that I want you to understand the key elements of study design, right? And it's time to apply them. So, if you have a few minutes, think of if you're on a train or at home or whatever, you can do this in your head, right? So think of a psychological research question that interests you. Consider how you would design a study to test this question. You might not know or be aware of the difference between experimental or correlational design yet. The whole point of today, by the way, is that we do. So write it down, identify, remember these words, independent, dependent variables, and decide whether you'd use an experimental or correlational design. If you don't know, it's fine. You can come back to this, watch the next few videos, which will kind of delve into a little bit more around experimental design, ANOVA, regression. You could come back to this. This is just kind of like a knowledge test. Okay, so see you in the next video.